There's 4 different ways to change the colours in your photos in Lightroom Classic. The first and most severe way is to change the temperature and tint for the white balance here. So we can warm the image up by moving the temperature to the right, and we can make it feel cooler and bluer by moving it to the left. You can also change the tint, make things look greener or more magenta. You can also use these white balance presets to see how the colours look. The next way is to use the tone curve here. Using the tone curve, you can change the curves for the reds, greens and blues in the image. So for example, let's select the green channel here and we'll make some changes. And by doing this, we're altering the colours for all of the greens in the image. And you can do the same thing for the reds and the blues. Let's just turn that off by clicking this switch here and look at the next method. So the tone curve gives you a bit more control over the basic temperature and tint sliders, but the changes can still seem quite harsh. To get finer control over the colours in your image, come down to this HSL section here. This allows us to change the hue, the saturation and the luminance of reds, orange, yellows, greens, aquas, blues, purples and magentas in the image. If you want to see the hue, saturation and luminance all together, just click the All button and this will expand down the panel. So for example, to change the colour of the greens in the image, you can move this green slider under the hue section. And as we do this, you can see the greens in the image are changing. Similarly with the aqua colours, we can change those, and the blues, and so on. If you want to reset these, just double click on the section. So if I double click on the word hue here, it resets all of those sliders. Another way to use these sections is to click on this little target button here and come over to the image and choose the colours that you want to affect. So once again, let's choose some of these greens. I'm going to hold down the left mouse button and then move the mouse up and down to change the hues. Notice in the sliders here, it's actually changing the greens and the yellows because the point that I selected in the photo consisted of green and yellow colours. So for example, let's make these greens more yellow. And for the ocean, once again, click the left mouse button and hold it down and move the mouse up and down to change the colours. You can also do a similar thing with the saturation, either change the sliders or click the target button here, choose a colour, hold down the left mouse button and move your mouse up and down. And you can see now we can even make these colours turn black and white. I'm just going to disable the HSL edit by clicking this toggle here. And we'll look at the fourth and final way to change colours in your photos, and that's to use the colour grading section here. The colour grading section allows you to change the colours for the shadows, midtones and highlights in the image. So for example, if you want to give the shadows a different colour, let's say blues, you can drag this circle to the blue section. If you want to change the colour, just rotate this outer dot, and if you want to change the severity, click this centre dot and move the mouse button left and right. You can do the same thing for the midtones. So for example, let's make the midtones green and let's reduce that effect. And for the highlights, let's make the highlights blue and then reduce the effect a bit. Once you've got the severity of the effect, you can move the colour around independently.